Good afternoon to one and all. Myself, Dr. Rishabh Gupta, and in today's session, we will be understanding the MS Excel application on time value of money. So, after understanding the basic concepts of time value of money involving compounding and discounting techniques, we shall now focus upon that how we can solve these numericals based upon these techniques using Microsoft Excel. So here we begin. In order to calculate the future value of single cash flows, series of equal cash flows or series of unequal cash flows, there is a separate Excel function in Microsoft which is given by future value function is equals to FV rate NPER, PMT, PV, type. Here FV represents the future value, rate represents the rate of interest, NPER represents the number of period for an investment based upon the interest rate. PMT is used in case of annuity. So if the cash flows are in the form of an annuity, then we will use PMT. So it is used in case of constant payments to be made and at a constant interest rate. Here PV represents the present value of investment. Type 0 means if the payment is made at the end of the period, while type 1 means if the payment is made at the beginning of the period. Also, the double bracket in this present value and type represents that these values are optional. Further, in order to get a positive value of future value function, we must put a negative sign in front of PV in the function. Same is for the present value function as well. In MS Excel, we just need to type equals to PV. The moment I type equals to PV, then it automatically asks for rate, NPER, PMT, future value and type. And the last function is PMT functions. If we wish to calculate the annuity payments, then it will be equals to PMT. Again, the moment I type equals to PMT, then it will ask for a rate, NPER, present value or future value or type. So let's first practice few numericals based upon this MS Excel function. Problem 1. Mr. Rahul has invested a sum of rupees 10,000 at the beginning of the year at an interest rate of 10% compounded annually. How much amount will he get after the end of 3 years? So in this case, we need to calculate that what is the future value of rupees 10,000 which are invested at the beginning of the year and the rate of interest is 10% compounded annually. So this is your solution 1. In this case, present value is minus 10,000. As I already told you that in order to get a positive future value, we must put a minus sign in front of present value. Also, one thing we should note that while writing the figure in the against the present value, we must avoid putting a comma. In this case, the time period NPER is 3. The rate of interest is 10%. Since this is not a case of PMT, so it will be considered as 0. And type, since we are making the investment at the beginning of the period, so it is type 1. Again, the function or MS Excel function for future value is equals to FV. The moment I write equals to FV and double click on it, then it will ask for rate of interest which is 10% in this case. Just click on 10%, put comma. Then it is asking for NPER which is 3, PMT which is 0, then present value again it is minus 10,000. So I just need to click on this cell C2. And the type is, since the payment is made at the beginning of the period, so we need to type 1. Alternatively, I can also write 1 as well in this case. Bracket close and enter. So the value comes out to be rupees 13,310 rupees. So if you are investing rupees 10,000 rupees at an interest rate of 10%, payment is made at the beginning of the period and time period is 3 years, then the future value in such scenario is rupees 13,310. Now let's focus on problem 2. Mr. Rahul has invested rupees 10,000, rupees 5,000 and rupees 2,000 at the starting of first year, second year and third year. Calculate the compound value of investment at the end of third year when the interest rate is at the rate of 10% compounded annually. Now this is a case of future value of series of unequal cash flow. Since Mr. Rahul is investing unequal cash flows at different year, first, second and third year. Secondly, the investment is being done at the beginning of the period, at the beginning of first year, at the beginning of second year and at the beginning of third year. Now based upon this information, I need to calculate the future value. Now based upon this information, your rate is 10%, PMT is 0, time period is 3 years. Now the year, first, second and third, cash inflows are there, which is 10,000, 5,000 and 2,000. Now future value in this scenario, if you could recall our session on compounding technique, then I have told you that in case of future value of series of unequal cash flows, we need to follow a long cut procedure. So rupees 10,000 is being invested at the beginning of the first year and you need to calculate the future value at the end of the third year. So the remaining time period for which rupees 10,000 is being invested is 3 years in this case. While in the second case it is 2 years and in the last case it is 1 year. So again I need to type equals to FV. The moment I type equals to FV, it is asking for a rate. Time period in this case is 3 years minus 0. PMT again it is 0. Present value in this case is 10,000. Again in order to get a positive figure, I need to put a minus sign over here. And then 1. It comes out to be 13,310. Now repeating the same exercise for year 2. Rupees 5,000 is being invested at the beginning of the 2 years. So again, this amount will remain invested for 2 years, which means second year for a whole and third year for a whole. So again, you need to type equals to future value. The rate is 10%. Just click on it. Then NPER, which is total time period 3 years minus 1. So since the amount remain invested for the 2 years, so I am writing is 3 minus 1, which is 2. PMT again is 0. Present value is minus 5,000, which is your C15, comma, since the payment is being made at the beginning of the period, I need to type 1 over here. Bracket close and enter. So it comes out to be 6050. Same goes for year 3 as well. Equals to FV, rate, comma, time period minus 1. I have already explained the logic behind this C12 or 3 years minus 1 year or 3 years minus 2 year in my previous session of compounding technique. Comma, PMT is 0. Present value minus 2,000. So this means it comes out to be 2420. You need to write equals to sum for totaling the future value. Just select this all the 3 cells and bracket close. The answer comes out to be 21,780. Now focus on question 3. Mr. Rahul has invested an amount of rupees 10,000 each at the end of first, second and third year. Calculate the compound value of his investment at the end of third year if the interest rate is 10% compounded annually. What will be your answer if the outflows are being made at the beginning of the period? So this is a perfect case of PMT. Now we need to calculate that if Mr. Rahul is investing rupees 10,000 each in all the 3 years and that is at the end of the time period, I need to calculate the future value of series of equal cash flow or the future value of annuity. Now this is your solution 3. Present value in this case is 0. Time period is 3 years, or I can say NPER is 3 years. Rate is 10% in this case. Now PMT, which also represents the annuity, is minus 10,000. So I need to calculate the future value. Again the formula remains the same, equals to FV. The moment I type equals to FV, again it is asking for rate, which is 10% in this case. Then NPR is 3. PMT, again you need to click on C22. Present value is 0. And since the payment is made at the end of the period, so I need to type 0. Bracket close. The answer comes out to be 33,100. If it's a case of payment being made at the beginning of the period, then I just need to type 1 instead of 0. In such scenario, it will comes out to be 36,410. So if the payment is made at the beginning of the period, your future value of annuity is 36,410. If the payment is being made at the end of the period, then the future value comes out to be 33,100. Now let's focus on problem number 4. Mr. Rahul has invested 10,000 now for 3 years at an interest rate of 10% per annum, compounded semi-annually. Find how much amount he will get after 3 years. Now this is very much similar to the previous question. The only difference is that instead of compounding annually, we are going compounding semi-annually. What will be the impact? Because of the semi-annual payment, it will impact your interest rate as well as your time period. So this is your solution 4. Present value in this case is minus 10,000 since you are making the one-time investment. Year in this case is 3 and NPER is 6. How we have calculated this NPER? We are saying the compounding is being made semi-annually. So again 3 multiplied by 2, which comes out to be 6. If we can say the compounding is being made quarterly, then it would be 3 years multiplied by 4, that would be 12. Rate in this case is 5%. How we have calculated? Again I am saying if the rate of interest is 10% and the compounding is being made semi-annually, so it is rate divided by 2, that is 10% divided by 2, which comes out to be 5% in this case. PMT is 0. It is not a case of annuity, so it will be 0. Future value equals to FV. Again at the moment I write equals to FV and the double click on it, it is asking for rate. I am clicking on it, put comma, NPER. Mind it, there is a difference between NPER and year, especially in the numericals where compounding is being done either on semi-annually, monthly or quarterly. PMT, again this is not a numerical of PMT, so we will simply type 0. Present value and the payment is being made at the end of the period, it comes out to be 13,400 rupees 96 paisa. In this case, the future value is rupees 13,400 rupees approximately. Now let's focus on problem number 5. In this problem, we will try to calculate the present value. We have already learned that in order to compute the present value, there is a different function which is equals to present value. The rest component remains the same. So let's focus on problem number 5. Mr. Rahul is supposed to get rupees 10,000 after 3 years at a given discount rate of 10% per annum. Find the amount of investment he must make in order to get an amount of rupees 10,000 after 3 years. Now in this case, Mr. Rahul is supposed to get an amount of rupees 10,000, but he will get this amount after 3 years. Discount rate is being given, time period is given, and the future value is given, which is minus 10,000. You need to calculate the present value. Again, this is not a case of PMT, present value of series of equal cash flow. This is a perfect case of present value of a single cash flow. This is your solution 5. So future value is minus 10,000. Again, in order to get a positive present value, I need to write minus sign in front of future value. NPER is 3 years. Rate is 10%. PMT is 0. And we need to calculate the present value. In order to calculate the present value, we need to type equals to PV. The moment I type equals to PV and double click on it, again it is asking for rate. Click on C36, comma, then click on NPER, comma, PMT, which is 0 in this case, future value, which is minus 10,000 or represented by C34, and comma, since we need to calculate the amount at the end of the period, you need to type 0 over here. The amount comes out to be 7,513 rupees 15 paisa. So in order to get rupees 10,000 at the end of 3 years where the discount rate is 10%, you need to invest rupees 7,513 rupees 15 paisa as of now. Now let's focus on problem number 6, which talks about the present value of series of unequal cash flow. So Mr. Rahul has to receive a sum of rupees 10,000, 5,000 rupees and 2,000 rupees at the end of first year, second year and third year from an investment proposal. Using the MS Excel, you need to calculate the present value of series of cash flows if the rate of interest or if the discount rate is 10%. Now in this case, I need to calculate the present value of series of unequal cash flow. Solution 6. In this case, rate is 10%, PMT is 0, year is first year, second year and third year. The cash inflows are 10,000, 5,000 and 2,000. So if you can recall our discussion on discounting technique, I have told you that in case of present value of series of unequal cash flows, we need to follow a long cut procedure. If I am saying the value at the end of first year is 10,000 and I need to calculate its present value, so the time period is only 1 in this case. Similarly, if I am saying that the values at the end of second year is 5,000, then the time period in this case is only 2 years. While in the last case, time period is 3 years. Again, we need to calculate the present value. So we need to type a function equals to PV and double click on it. Again, it is asking for rate. NPER in this case is 1 year. PMT is 0. Future value at the end of first year is 10,000. So again, I told you that in order to calculate the positive present value, I have put a minus sign in front of C43. And it is a case of 0, so I need to type 0 over here, bracket close. It comes out to be 9090.91. Similarly, repeat this exercise for year 2 as well. Equals to present value, rate, NPER, which is 2 years, PMT is 0, future value is 5,000 and 0. It comes out to be 4132.23. For the last year, equals to present value, double click on it, interest rate is 10%, comma, NPER is 3 years, comma, PMT in this case is 0, future value is minus C45. This will give you 1502.63. In order to get the total value, equals to sum, double click on it and select this series. It comes out to be 14,725 rupees 0.77. So the present value of series of unequal cash flow in this numerical is 14,725 rupees 77 paisa. Now let's focus on problem 7, which is a case of present value of series of equal cash flow. Mr. Rahul wishes to calculate the present value of annuity consisting of cash inflows of rupees 10,000 per year for 3 years. The discount rate is 10%, and you also need to calculate your answer if the inflows are being made at the beginning of the period. Now in this case, this is a case of present value of series of equal cash flow. This is your solution 7. Now future value in this case is 0. NPER is 3 years. Rate is 10%. PMT is minus 10,000. Present value equals to PV. Double click on it. select the rate column, comma, then NPER, again comma, PMT, future value, and 0. So your answer comes out to be 24,868 rupees 0.52 paisa. We are assuming that it is being made at the end of the period. If it is being made at the beginning of the period, then instead of typing 0, I will type 1. And the answer in such scenario comes out to be 27,355.37. Now let's focus on the last problem, problem number 8. Mr. X deposit rupees 5 lakh on his retirement in a bank on which the interest rate is provided at a rate of 10% per annum. How much money in equal installment can be withdrawn annually for a period of 10 years? Now this is a case of annuity. I need to calculate the PMT in this case. So present value is 5 lakh rupees, number 1. Time period is 10. Interest rate is 10%. Based upon this information, I need to type a separate Excel function, and the Excel function is equals to PMT. So future value is 0, NPER is 10. Now in this case, present value is minus 5 lakh, NPER is 10 years, rate is 10%. So I need to select a percentage over here and then write 10, and we need to calculate the PMT equals to PMT. The moment you double click on PMT, again it is asking for rate, comma, NPER, which is 10 in this case, present value, which is minus 5 lakh, future value is optional, and this is also optional. The amount comes out to be 81,372 rupees 70 paisa. It means that if Mr. X wishes to deposit rupees 5 lakh on his retirement, then the equal installment which must be withdrawn is equals to 81,372 rupees 70 paisa. So that's all from my side. We'll meet you in my next session covering a new concept with a new series. Have a nice day.